Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to ENG3E Term 2A. I'm your instructor, Mike Laverty, and today is February 9th, 2023. We are on class number 4. So if I've done my math correctly, we are 1/9 of the way through because this is a 36 class course divided over the course of 9 weeks. So 9 weeks, 4 classes per week is 36. So we're making our way through. We're still on unit 1, and we'll be on unit 1 next week as well. So we're gonna focus on that one before going on to the next unit. Today we'll look at unit assignments 7, 8, and 9A, and we'll look at the textbook assignment from Making It Work, page 36. So just a reminder that you are responsible for the unit assignments. So let me just pull out my handy guide here. Where are we? Okay, right. So if you flip through your ENG3E unit 1 material, you'll see that you have the unit 1. I know it's a mirror image, but that's that page backwards. So you have that 1 through 10. Those are the assignments for unit 1, but you also have the textbook assignments. So we're picking off the textbook assignments one by one. So you have the unit assignments, the textbook assignments, and then once you're finally done that, then you'll work on a culminating assignment. So a really big project to wrap up the unit. So we are on week 1 of classes in term 2A. There'll be no class on Monday. So Monday's a short week. That's week 3. We only have 3 classes then. So we missed the Monday, but we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then March break is from the 13th to the 16th. And there'll be no classes held, no classes broadcast on that date. So I changed the schedule slightly. So I think next week, week number 2, we will finish off unit 1, and then unit 2 will probably start in the 3rd week of the course. So I'm trying to cover 5 units in 9 weeks and make sure everybody has enough time, or not have enough time, but make sure I have enough time to adequately prepare you for writing your final exam. So after the 9 weeks of class are done, then you organize a final exam. If you're working on this course as an independent learner, then you have different timelines. But I really think it's important that you try to do this course in that 9-week time period. If you're anything like me and you stretch it out over the course of like 10, 12 or more weeks, it's going to be hard to stay focused. And it's hard to retain all that knowledge, especially if you're working full time, or if you're like me, you have kids. And if you're juggling 1 or 2 courses, it's hard. So I think the best course would just be to do it in a 9-week schedule, like I lay out in these YouTube videos. So the studio is still being put together. There's a bunch of tech guys here right now who are trying to figure out the wiring of the building. I've been overhearing their conversations. I'm kind of interested in what they're doing. They're setting up data cables and power sources and trying to make sure that, the studio is connecting to the mainframe and downstairs and all the servers and all that fun tech stuff. So for the time being, the only way you can watch or listen to this course live is through Zoom. So just click on that Zoom link well, you can't click on it, but if you just write that Zoom link down, or if you just go to, let's see, I'll annotate it down here with some text. Like if you just go to zoom.us, and then it'll ask for a class code, and that's where you'll put in 417 666-99799. So you go to zoom.us and then it'll say, you know, what class are you trying to join. There's no password to join my course. It's open to anybody. So all you need to type in is that number, and then you can be a spectator, be a class member when we have our classes live Monday through Thursday, 1 to 1:55 p.m. All right, getting the hang of this thing. Oops. Almost getting the hang of this thing. Let's go to clear all drawings. There we go. So check out my videos on YouTube. Go to Laverty Wassa and find me on YouTube. You'll see a couple of playlists for ENG3E. When you get a chance, send that work to me. If you're watching on YouTube, pause the screen. All of this information is in your course material. And if you don't know how to submit work, then reach out to me. Find me on Facebook, message me, send me a phone call, or phone the Wassa building in Sulikout, or talk to your local DEC, and they will help you out, tell you who to talk to, how to submit your assignments, all that. And if you want to talk to me, this is the way to do it. Send me an email, mlaverty@nnecschools.org, Facebook Messenger, Laverty Wassa, and you can phone one of these two numbers down there. The bottom one is a free long distance number. So you're not incurring any long distance fees if you don't have a good data plan or a good calling plan on your phone. Like me, I don't. I have a really cheap plan, so long distance calls definitely cost me a lot of money. And I would like to have a free one if I can. My office hours are 9 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and I'm teaching from 1 to 3. So I can't be reached during that time unless you join my class. But otherwise, I'm not checking emails or multitasking. Here's your next steps. Here's your homework. So you should contact me if you haven't done so already. You should read the study guide, Unit 1, flip through our textbooks, just have a look at them, become familiar with them, and start working on Unit Assignment 1 at the very least. And then next week, I'll update this and let you know. So just the first week, you're just getting your feet wet, just learning about the course. So just as long as you've read the Unit 1 and the study guide, and you've looked at the textbooks, and you've just started working on Unit 1, Assignment 1, then you're good. You're on the right path. You're doing great. And if you've done more than that, that's fantastic. But as I mentioned yesterday, please don't send me an entire unit. Try to limit yourself to like 5 assignments. I think 5 is a good number, 5 to 10. Do them in batches like that. Helps me, and it'll help you because it'll allow me to give you feedback. So here's our quotes of the day. Our lesson plan. We're gonna do quotes of the day. These are about writing paragraphs. We're gonna learn how to write a paragraph, look at some different forms of paragraphs. We're going to look at the textbook assignments from Making It Work on page 61. And then we're going to look at unit assignments 7, 8, and 9A. We've got a full slate. Let's get at it. So our learning goals for today are to learn how to write a paragraph, learn about different forms of paragraphs, and learn about adjectives. That's our part of speech for today, and adverbs too, if we have time, but we'll see. And our success criteria will be to analyze a paragraph by identifying its form and purpose. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to learn how to identify paragraphs by their form and their purpose. You're going to write your own paragraphs to answer some of the textbook and unit assignments. And you're going to answer unit assignments 7 through 9A by using your understanding of adjectives, adverbs, and reflecting on your past. So it's a lot, but I know you can do it. So really focusing on writing and the craft of writing, and you learn how to be a better writer by learning how to be a better reader, and vice versa, right? So it's a two-way process, right? The better you are at reading other people's works, the better you're going to be at making your own writing. And I'm a musician myself, so I like to make the comparison because I see a lot of comparisons, a lot of connections between being a writer and being a musician. And when you listen to music and you really listen to music and you make notes and you write down the stuff you'd like, that makes you a better songwriter, makes you a better player, right? When you pay attention and you notice the stuff that works, and you don't just lose yourself in the music, which is really cool, but you take note and you think about it, and you just give it some thought. And that's really the heart of English, right? And learning to be a better writer, a better reader, learning or developing your communication skills. So much of it just comes down to paying attention and putting in the work. That's what you have to do. It's there's no cheats, there's no shortcuts. You just gotta put the work in. You just gotta pay attention, make notes, try different things, experiment. You just got to do it. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And that's what this course is all about. That's what it means to be successful in this course, I think in pretty much any English course. So here we got a quote from Franklin P. Adams. I didn't look him up. I'm not quite sure who he is, but I'm assuming he's a writer. And he's got this quote: "Having imagination, it takes you an hour to write a paragraph that, if you were unimaginative, would take you only a minute, or you might not even write the paragraph at all." So we're through this course, through ENG3E, you're really, I mean, you're tapping into your imagination. You're tapping into your ability to envision things, to create new ideas. You know, that's the most amazing thing about the human brain to me, right? Is our ability to create new things and to solve problems and to use our imagination and to have visions and to kind of like not necessarily like see the future, but like envision a future and then make it happen, right? And so so when you have an imagination, you know, it can take you an hour to write, you know, a decent paragraph, maybe longer, right? Whereas if you don't use an imagination, and I don't think that there's people with imagination and people without imaginations. I don't think that's a realistic way to divide humans. I think we all have imaginations, but sometimes we don't use our imaginations. And sometimes we get lazy, and sometimes we cop out and take the easy way out. And so, but if we put the work in, we use our powers, we can come up with some pretty cool things. This one's from Larry McMurdy, and he says, "Writing is a form of herding. I herd words into little paragraph-like clusters." And I love that. That rings true to me. And I think it rings true with this chorus too. And it's like you put a lot of random things on the page. And when we talk about free writing and just generating ideas, you throw a lot of words on the page, you throw a lot of ideas on the page, and then all those ideas are like your cows. They're like your animals in the wild, and they're all over the place, and your job is to herd them and to like push them into a shape, or like it's almost like a potter, like throwing a big lump of clay onto the potter's wheel, right? And then they mold it, right? Or like a sculptor, right? They start with a big chunk of something and then they whittle it down to something else, right? But you have to put the stuff there first. There has to be a whole bunch of messy material first, right? It's like building a house. You got a big pile of like 2x4s and studs and girders and screws and nails and joists and all this raw material. It's there, all the stuff is there, but it's messy and it's not organized. Then you put it in a particular shape, particular pattern, and then you build something, right? That's the design, right? So sort of like what writing is, at least to me. All right, so going back to yesterday, I didn't really get a chance to finish this. So we were talking about describing a journey that you've made, and you know, the journey says, where did you go, for how long, who was with you, what were you doing, did you have to prepare for the journey, if so, how? So one paragraph containing at least 6 sentences. So I just want to do a brief version of this for you and show you how it's done. So up on the screen, I got a condensed version of the writing process that I recommended for this particular assignment. So step 1, you plan it. You write down a list of your favorite, most memorable journeys, and you pick your best one. Then you do a 5-minute free writing session to generate as many words and ideas as you can. Then step 3, you reorganize what you wrote in step 1, find your best ideas, find your best sentences, identify your main idea. What is your journey really about? And then editing and revision. Editing and publishing comes after that, right? So, and then we'll talk about editing and revision again later in this class. So, in today's class. So. Let's see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up a Word document. I'm only going to do a 2-minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 2 minutes after I generate some ideas. There we go. Okay, I've got my stopwatch on my phone ready. So I'm going to, let's go here. Let's do a new share. All right, so we got Microsoft Word here. Let's go out. So step 1, a list of my journeys. So the ones that come to mind to me are a trip to Minnesota when I was 10 to play hockey, I think it was like a 4-day canoe trip with my dad when I was 14, I think. I don't know. Driving with my wife to Windsor to help her move in. And let's see. And then maybe a road trip to Thompson, Manitoba with my band. And I lived in Winnipeg. So there we go. I got four journeys up on the screen. And then I'm gonna just step 2, I'm gonna do a free write about this trip. About I'm gonna do my hockey trip. Okay. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick, I'm gonna see how many words I can get. Now, I've been doing this for many, many years, and I've gotten really fast at typing. So, but it's really useful. So if you can't type, or you can't type very quickly, I would strongly suggest that you learn how to do it. There's lots of online like typing games you can play. I did Mario, like Mario Brothers. Mario teaches typing, and I got really good at typing. And then just through years and years of writing and teaching, I just spent a lot of my time on a keyboard. So, I would go with whatever you're faster with. So I'm a way faster typer than I am with a pen, right? So I would do my free writes with a computer. But if you feel that you can write faster with a pen and a paper, then do it that way. But me personally, I do typing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit start. I'm going to do a 2-minute free write on this trip. Okay, so when I was 10, one of my friends named Dustin, his dad won the lottery, and we traveled to Minnesota for a hockey tournament. His dad, what's his name again? I don't know his name. I'm just putting a note to myself. He rented a huge tour bus, and we drove that thing to America. We all had matching team jackets with our names stitched on the side. We listened to AC/DC a lot, and Thunderstruck was our favorite song. We even convinced the arena people, I don't know, staff, to play that song when we skated on the ice. I was a goalie and didn't get many shots. We won every game by at least 9 or 10 goals. We practiced a lot to get ready for that tournament. It was a lot of fun, and it's one of my favorite childhood hockey memories. We were the Sioux Stars. Okay, so I did that in 2 minutes, and I generated, let's see. So if you highlight a block of text on Microsoft Word and you go up to review and you go to word count. So I did 133 words. So that's not too bad for 2 minutes, right? If I did that for an hour, I could do about maybe 2,000 words. I could have like a whole thing if I just kept on going, right? But it would be rough, right? It would be rough, and then I'd have to like take that, and then I'd have to revise it, right? So, and then if you go to like step 3 of the process, the revision process, then you start to reorganize the ideas, and you could like take that apart and start changing the order of the stuff. And the revision stuff could be like, paragraph 1, paragraph 2. So if I want to develop this thing into like a longer piece, which I've actually thought about doing for a long time, I want to write about this experience because I talk about it a lot. It's one of my favorite stories that I like to tell, right? So it could just be like introduce the idea of the trip. Paragraph 2 could be about preparing for the trip, practicing all the time, taking the bus / being on the bus, and then and then I'm just planning it out, like, and then I'll go back and I'll start to and if I had more time, I would do more free writing, and I could just free write about all that stuff. And then you notice as you start writing, things start coming back to you, like the AC/DC, the Thunderstruck, the me being the goalie. It's like I had a general idea, just me going to that tournament. As soon as you start writing, it all starts to flow back to you, right? Just like telling a story, right? You don't really remember it, but as soon as you get a few words out and you start telling somebody a story, it starts to come back to you. All right, so we're talking about writing today, reading and writing. So the definition of a paragraph, and this is from the page 58 of Making It Work. A paragraph is a group of sentences that focuses on one topic or one main idea. So that is huge, right? So really focus and pay attention to that. Take note of that, right? So that's got to be the number one issue that I see with student writing. So as a teacher, as someone who teaches writing, and I see this in my own work, right? Like my own English papers in high school and my first university papers, I was all over the place, no focus. Every paragraph's about, I have paragraphs about multiple things in one paragraph, and I'm not focused, right? And if you don't put the work in and you're just sort of making things up as you go along, and that's where it's really obvious to a teacher that someone's submitting a rough draft. You're submitting your first ideas and you haven't developed them, right? So that's really obvious to a teacher. So keep that in mind. As an English student, if you want to get really good marks, or if you just want to pass an English course, you can't just submit your first draft. You gotta develop your ideas. And when you develop your ideas, you start to polish them, right? And it's like, and then you can be really proud of what you did. But you have to have a main idea, a main topic, and then you develop it. So the paragraph starts with a topic sentence, which tells clearly what the paragraph is about. Next come one or more sentences which explain or develop the topic sentence. A paragraph ends with a final statement which summarizes, restates, or links the paragraph to a similar topic in the next paragraph, right? So, and also, like, we looked at some paragraphs earlier in this class, so not every paragraph is going to follow this format. Some paragraphs have one sentence. Some paragraphs have two sentences. They don't follow this model, but this is like the, I would call this the standard model of a paragraph, right? This is what most paragraphs are going to be like, right? This is, and when you're writing essays, when you're writing English papers, when you're doing English assignments, this is the model you want to follow. Topic sentence, right? So topic sentence, supporting sentence, and then concluding sentences, right? That's what you want to do. So in a paragraph writing, we can divide them up into your paragraph into chunks, right? So there are the, whoops. Excuse me a sec, I'm missing my, sorry, that's what's happening. Okay, so when we write a paragraph, we have a topic sentence. So it's usually the first sentence of a paragraph. So it might be the second, but I mean, you don't want to go beyond that, right? So best case scenario, your first sentence tells the reader what this paragraph is going to be about, right? So the paragraph is like a little story that tells about one idea, right? So a general idea. So it introduces the idea. It tells the reader, hey, I'm going to talk about this for a paragraph. Okay, so it introduces the overall idea that the paragraph is going to discuss, right? So the paragraph is going to take that idea and then expand upon it and develop it, right? And that's what separates really good writing from, you know, like not so good writing and sloppy writing and writing that's not, when your writing is fuzzy, it's because you're not really talking and you're unfocused and you're all over the place, right? So good writing develops ideas, right? And good stories develop ideas too, right? Like any good movie, any good TV show, there's a main idea, there's a main struggle, and then every episode of that show develops it and expands upon it, right? So you do your topic sentence, then you do a supporting sentences. And so, you know, one or more, sometimes called the body sentences, and they support and explain the topic. Okay, so you introduce an idea and then you explain it. So a really good example of this is like a persuasive essay or an essay where you're trying to make a point, or it's like a letter to the editor, right? So there's like a really controversial issue, or like, you know, like you have an opinion on something and people disagree with you, and you're like, I know you think I'm wrong, but I'm right, and here's why, right? So it's not like you don't just scream at somebody, I'm right. You tell them what you believe, and then you support it, right? And that's basically what a lot of this comes down to. It's like you make a statement, like, you know, my trip to Minnesota when I was 10 was a defining moment in my hockey career. Okay, so I made a statement, and now I'm going to show you why that's true, right? Or, you know, like it was a really great story that you should hear, right? And then you got to explain why it's a good story, right? And the best way to do that is just to tell it, right? And then you have a concluding sentence. So it's where you restate or give a summary about the main idea. So you remind your reader about the main idea. And then this sentence can be used to link to the next one, right? So, and then if you're writing an essay, there's going to be like a main idea, like the big idea that you talk about in like 4 or 5 paragraphs, right? So if you do like a paragraph, they often call it the 5-paragraph essay when you write an English paper. It's like the first paragraph introduces what you're going to talk about. It introduces 3 reasons that like back up your main idea. Every paragraph is devoted to one of those 3 reasons, 3. And then paragraph 5 wraps things up. And so the paragraph is like a little mini model of that, right? It's like idea, things that support that idea, the idea again, but sort of like wrapped up. And it's like, as you can see, or, you know, based off these reasons, blah, 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 right? Like it's, and that sentence can often be used to link to the next one, the next the next paragraph, sorry, that should say paragraph. So I said one, but I should have been more specific. So I should follow my own advice. I said the next sentence can be used to link to the next paragraph. So you might want to use a graphic organizer or other tools to help you sketch out a paragraph or a longer work, such as an essay. One strategy is to write out the topic or main idea of your sentence. You're giving yourself a prompt and a roadmap for moving your text forward. So I love this idea of like making a map for yourself. Like, this is where we're going to go, and you're giving yourself prompts, like write a sentence about this, write a sentence about that. So here, you know, it could be like my topic sentence, my supporting sentences, and my concluding sentence, right? So you could use a graphic organizer like this if you want, and just write down. And again, like, you're not necessarily writing down a sentence, you are just writing down, you know, a sentence about me going on a hockey trip, right? And then down here, it's like my supporting sentences, you know, a sentence about my friend's dad winning the lottery. And then let's see, not just any hockey trip, but like it's this sentence is about why this trip was so important in my life, okay? And then down here, it's going to be a concluding sentence that'll be, you know, this trip was amazing because so many cool things happened. And that's, you know, transition into paragraph 2. So something like that, just like a basic model that just jots out where I'm going to take this thing. And then you can also do that like first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph. I won't do it now because we don't have much time. Well, we do have time, but I want to focus on other stuff. So you can do it this way, just block it out and just be like a paragraph, a sentence about this, sentence about that, sentence about this, and just start laying down your sentences and where they're going to go. So it just kind of gives you a roadmap. And if you get stuck and you can't think of the next word to say, then okay, I'll leave that. I have to write my sentence about this, right? So I do these things all the time, and they're very helpful. All right, so there are different forms of paragraphs. There's a narrative paragraph. It tells a story and pays particular attention to character, setting, and conflict. So a narrative paragraph is often found in fiction. No surprise there. So novels, short stories. It's also found in creative nonfiction. So creative nonfiction is it's real stuff, like it's a true story, but it's written just like a novel. It's also used in nonfiction writing, like magazine articles, essays. It's found in textbooks, but it's, you know, it's storytelling in a sense, right? So it's characters, setting, conflict. It's really developing a story. There is descriptive paragraphs that give a single impression of something to the reader. It uses many details to create a vivid picture and appeal to the senses. So descriptive paragraphs will often use many adjectives and adverbs to create details and provide the reader with this vivid picture, right? Because when things are vivid, I can easily imagine them in my mind because you've given me all the details, right? So you've got to use the senses, right? So, and that's what makes it vivid. The reader needs to know what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, right? All those things. And an expository paragraph explains. It gives the reader information, should be clear, factual, straightforward. It includes a concluding sentence. So how to and cause and effect are two common forms of expository paragraphs or a text, right? So you're explaining something, our textbooks, Making It Work, is a lot of expository paragraphs. It's a lot of explaining. That's what expository means, right? when you read a novel and the first bit about the book is like setting the backstory, that's exposition. It's explaining, it's setting context, it tells you how the characters got there. Some books and TV shows don't have exposition, they just jump right into the story. And that's kind of exciting, right? And then you got to figure out what's happening. And then you might get the backstory later, but right off the bat, it's just action. All right, so let's jump into these assignments. So textbook assignment from the textbook, Making It Work. Think about it, page 61. In which type of paragraph is it important to use colorful adjectives and why? 2 marks. So I want you to identify the type of paragraph. Is it a descriptive paragraph, a narrative paragraph, or an expository paragraph? And in a full sentence, explain why this is the correct form of paragraph. So step 1, choose one of those 3. Step 2, explain why you are right. All right. The next one, same page, use the anthology, page 61. Choose a paragraph from one of the selections in the anthology. What information does it give you? What kind of paragraph is it? So I need you to identify the name of the article, write in full sentences, and I need you to identify the form of the paragraph. So if we go to, not the road ahead, if we go to our Making It Work textbook, and Making It Work is the description, and they say, you know, you will find paragraphs in many of the selections in the anthology. There are paragraphs in newspaper articles such as rising threats of violence in schools concern police, the short stories such as walking, and nonfiction pieces, right? Choose a paragraph from one of the selections in the anthology. So you pull up your handy dandy anthology right there. And, you know, if you flip through the book and there we go. So we got on page 37, we have the article they mentioned, Boom, Bust, and Echo 2000 by David K. Foote. So I would say, I would write down the name of the article and maybe the page number too, and from the textbook. I would identify the form of the paragraph. So what is that? Is that a narrative paragraph? Is it a descriptive paragraph? Is it an expository paragraph? So I would ID the type of paragraph, and then I would write in full sentences, and I would tell what information it gives you. So I'd provide a little brief summary, right, for 5 marks, right? So what information does it give you in full sentences? So not point form. Don't just jot down, you know, like Titanic or whatever. Just what is it really telling you about? Full marks if you can identify the main idea of that. So I mean, I would use that knowledge of paragraphs, right? So if you can say, you know, the main idea of this paragraph is, and it supports it by saying this, that's what's going to get you the 5 marks. All right, moving right along. Textbook assignment, same book, same page, but this is activity 3. You are to follow a series of steps to practice the writing process. You are to write a paragraph on a topic of your choice for 8 marks. And then these steps are listed on pages 58 through 59 in Making It Work. And I'm also going to go through them in today's class. So you can go to page 58 to 59 of Making It Work. And I've included those steps in today's class. I changed them a little bit, but it's the same basic steps. So you need to follow, remember, the 5-step writing process. So step 1, we plan. Step 2, we write. Step 3, we revise. Step 4, we edit. And step 5, we publish or share. So of course, we need to do some planning. So, and everybody, I know I should acknowledge that everybody is different, and maybe if you're good at that, and if you can just like read a question and read an assignment and just start writing, and stuff comes out of you, then I'm not going to say that's wrong. I'm just saying that most students, at least the ones that I've taught, they tend to struggle with that, right? So if you want to start on step 2 and just start writing, then by all means do that. But I think you should go back to step 1 too, and plan too, right? After you've written some rough ideas, go back and plan this thing out. It does help. So you need to choose the topic for your paragraph. You need to think about how you feel about the topic and how you are going to share your ideas. Then think about your audience for whom you're writing, and write your topic sentence or your main idea in point form. So what am I going to write about? And what's my paragraph going to be about? And what's my main idea going to be? And then you can brainstorm a list of supporting details that you could include to support your topic sentence / main idea. Use point form or full sentences if you can. So let's go back to our Word document here. Oops. Okay, make sure I'm sharing Word. Okay, so don't want to do my header. What am I doing? So step 1, I need to come up with a topic for my paragraph, main idea, and some supporting details. So this is what I would do. I would do type of paragraph. Let's see, paragraph. Am I going to do expository, descriptive, or am I going to do a narrative paragraph? Which one am I going to do? So let's see, maybe I'll do maybe, and then just, what do you want to write about? What do you want to tell people about? What do you want to so I might do so here's I'm going to do so my main idea, my topic. I think I would write about my backyard rink. Then yeah, and then some supporting details I might include. The size of the rink, I don't know, making the rink, what we do on the rink, why we decided to build one this year, doing some training on it, right? So I've got my topic for my paragraph, got my main idea. So I would do that, and then this to get myself started. These courses just fly by, these classes. So step 2, I might do a free write, do a 5-minute write, and then work on, getting as many words as I can, details about my main idea in my paragraph, and I won't stop. And then I'll do some revisions. I might look and try to find my best ideas. This is from the journey one, but it should say what is your paragraph really about? I would find your best sentence. I love that idea. Really, that really helps. You find your best sentence, and then you take it from there. And you reorganize what you have, and then you keep writing. As we get into this course, we'll talk more about editing. We don't have much time for it today, but it's a really important process, and these are the ones that I really recommend you do. You read your work out loud. You will catch so many mistakes that way. Ask somebody else to read your paragraph. That's huge. look up any unfamiliar words in a dictionary and put it down for a while, do something productive, and then come back to it. Or unproductive, just do something and then come back to it later, and you'll come up with all kinds of cool ideas. And then, of course, you publish it. You share it with your teacher. All right. Assignments for Unit 1, we have assignment 7. So describe any volunteer experience you have had in your community. What do you think is important about being a volunteer? If you don't already have any volunteer experience, name 2 ways in which you could become involved in your community, at least 3 sentences. So again, I would plan that out and, you know, try to write a paragraph. So, think of a way you volunteered in the past, or a way you volunteer regularly. And if you don't volunteer regularly, then write down something you wished you could do and why you think it's important, right? So I myself am a hockey coach. I volunteer a lot of my time as a coach, so that's what comes to my mind quite readily. I would talk about my experience as a coach and being on the ice with kids, and it's important to me because somebody has to do it. Someone, you know, it's a very important job. It's vital for the success of hockey in a small town. Someone's got to be on the ice. I may not be the best coach, but I'm out there and I'm dedicated and I'm there to support my kids. So when you approach this assignment, you know, if you can, try to write a short paragraph, right? Just practice those skills, try to write a paragraph, try the topic, sentence, supporting details, even if it's just 1, 2, 3. A main idea, one idea that supports it, and one idea that just wraps it up. So I would suggest doing that. All right, so we're going to talk about adjectives as we get into the to support answering question number 8. So an adjective is it modifies or it qualifies a noun, so it changes the meaning of the noun, or it gives us more information about it. It also describes the quantity or amount of nouns, so it has those 2 functions. So here's some examples of an adjective modifying a noun. So we have Aiden scored a beautiful goal in the 3rd period. My favorite band is Guns N' Roses. She packed 5 black t-shirts for her trip. We opened the door and found a messy hotel room. So you see, in this case, we have 5 and black. So it tells me what the shirts looked like and how many they were. It tells me that it's not just a band, it's my favorite band. So it's not just a goal, it's a beautiful goal. And it happened in the 3rd period. It's a messy hotel room. We have comparative adjectives, which are used for comparisons, and they come in 3 different kinds. There's an absolute comparison. This is a cold evening. Comparative, which is comparing 2 things. Tonight is colder than last night. And superlative, which is it's like the most or the least. So tomorrow might be the coldest night of the year, right? So the greatest, the worst, it's like it's at the very bottom of the very top, and there's nowhere to go. We have coordinate adjectives. These are multiple adjectives, 2 or more that modify the same noun. So a long, cold winter, cold and long winter. This is going to be a long, cold winter. Let's see, don't have too much time. Well, this should help. So even though old and leather are adjectives that modify boots, we consider leather boots to be a noun phrase that is modified by the word old. So these are my old leather boots. You wouldn't say these are my old, comma, leather boots. It gets kind of confusing. This is very technical, so I wouldn't worry too much about this, but I just want to show you how it works, right? If the words long, so the words long and cold are modifying the same noun, then you put a comma or an and between them. In this case over here, old is modifying leather boots, so that's fine. Leather boots are sort of like considered like one thing. Oops. And then we have demonstrative adjectives, and they are this, that, those, and these are the most common. So this coffee, it tells us which coffee we're talking about, not this coffee, but that coffee, right? Not your coffee, but my coffee, right? So this coffee is cold, that coffee is hot. These jokes are the funniest I've ever heard. Those people over there are my friends. Sometimes words such as that, this, that, and those are also as pronouns, right? So my sister bought me a new pair of shoes. I really like them. So the word them stands in place for shoes. But sometimes the word them could refer to, it would be like them bones. That's one of my favorite songs by a band called Alice in Chains. But or like this coffee, that coffee, it tells us which coffee we're talking about. So question 8 says, oh wait, did I get that right? Right. Question 7 is about volunteer experience. Question 8 is asking about list 3 adjectives to describe yourself. I am a blank person, right? So so you can just follow that template if you want. You know, I am a studious person, but you could use other examples to talk about yourself. You don't have to follow that model exactly, right? You could could even give you a couple of models for answering that question. So so question 8, we are using adjectives to describe ourselves. So I am a blank person, so you could do hair color. It depends on what you're comfortable doing, right? Your hair color, your height. You could do the way you dress, the way you act, the way you dress. You could do, yeah, like your style. So it's going to be visuals, right? So you could do like what you, mostly it's going to be what you look like, right? That's going to be the main visual. You can talk about what you smell like. Hopefully you smell good. What you feel like, what you look like. Most looking visual, I would stick to the visual. It's going to be the easiest ones. I don't know, eye color. Let's see, what else can we talk about the way we look. General physical appearance. Yeah. So there's that kind of thing. Talk about your skin color, whether you wear glasses, what you are wearing, do all kinds of things, right? So I am a well, I mean, then that's just, I mean, these are all just visuals, but I mean, I am a you could be like, I am, this could be like temperament. Spell that right. Are you outgoing? Are you shy? Are you passionate? Are you funny? So this could be like emotional states, could be like your inner, I am a I'm a calm, anxious, so you just find an adjective to describe yourself. So you don't have to, you can use this model from the assignment, or you can come up with your own model for a sentence. And this could be the same one for all three adjectives if you want, or you can go with a different sentence structure for each one. So it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, but there's many ways you can do this, and just come up with 3 adjectives. And just I would say one last note, be sure you are using an adjective and not an adverb. You are not describing the way you do something, which is an adverb. You are describing yourself or some aspect of yourself, like your appearance, personality, etc. Okay, so that should get you going for now. That's the end of our class for today. We will meet back tomorrow. Not tomorrow, we'll meet back on Monday, February 13th. So thanks for joining us today, and have yourself a great weekend.